At my first BSA conference in 2014, here in Manchester, standing on this stage, I set out the big strategic question that has underpinned so much of our campaigning in the past 10 years. It's a question that many of you will be quite familiar with, and a question which I believe we have gone a long way both to answering and being very, very clear in our own minds what the answer is. What is the financial services sector that we want for the UK in the next 20 years? And what are the things that we need to do now to have the best chance of creating that version of the future? We want building societies, credit unions, and the wider financial mutual sector to be at the heart of the future of a properly diverse, competitive, and resilient UK financial services sector. And in setting out that aspiration and our strategy for achieving that outcome, back in 2014, I also gave a pretty honest appraisal of the challenges that were facing the sector as I saw them at the time. The problem statement, if you like. And in so doing, I was accused by some of our members at the time of being a bit of a grumpy git. But by laying out the challenges, we were seeking to establish the basis and the platform from which to move forward. And let's be honest, back in 2014, we had a prudential regulator setting out a pretty bleak stall for the building society sector, and a political support that was rather more about hearts than it was about minds. If we did nothing, the risk was that we would have a much smaller sector, a sector that felt increasingly like a legacy part of financial services. Now, I'm a great fan of the National Trust, but I wasn't ready to see our wonderful purpose-driven sector being consigned to being a legacy asset and a heritage asset. So what have we done about it? What's the BSA done about it? What have you all done about it? We have campaigned hard with government, with regulators. We have argued strongly that it is in their interests that we have a properly diverse sector. For consumer choice, for competition, for structural resilience in the face of crises. And we've had a few of those. We've promoted building societies, credit unions, mutuals, and cooperatives as positive contributors to competition, choice, resilience in financial services and in the wider economy. We've built alliances and partnerships across the political spectrum and the business world. In a world dominated by shareholder ownership mindsets, we have been dogged in calling out the need for diversity in every sector. And we've sought every opportunity to level the playing field between building societies and banks, whether that's Strong and Simple, or Basel 3.1, or most recently, as Rob mentioned a few moments ago, with the support of Julie Elliott, the MP for Sunderland Central, and a bit of parliamentary good fortune, updates to the Building Societies Act that could free up billions more for additional lending to first-time buyers and further facilitate competition within the banks. We focus on UK business, not UK PLC. We talk about the purpose of business being for the benefit of our communities and our society, not remote overseas shareholders. We focus on long-term value and sustainability, not short-term earning maximization. And by long-term, we do not mean the next 5 to 10 years. Ours are intergenerational businesses. Your roles, running mutual businesses, are genuinely about stewardship, about balancing the needs of current members with those of their children and grandchildren, your future members. And you have come back from the financial crisis bigger, stronger, better governed. In many cases with fresh understanding and insight into your purpose and role in society. Since I first stood on this stage, you have maintained the mortgage market when the banks drew back, increasing your market share from 19% to 23%. You've helped almost 1 million people, first-time buyers, fulfill their dream of owning their own home. You've paid £9 billion more in interest to your members than they would have got from a high street bank. Do you think we should still call them high street banks? You have grown your share of the high street presence from 15% to 28% as they deserted our towns and communities. And you've grown your membership by 1.7 million, so that there are now more than 26 million memberships of building societies and credit unions in the UK, and over 74 million memberships of mutuals and cooperatives, which happens to be rather more than the total population. Some heritage asset, don't you think? You have a history of building cooperative technology businesses, cooperative estate agents, even cooperative auditors. And now 2 of you have set out on the road to mutualizing bank assets, re-establishing a cooperative banking sector in the UK, bucking the trend internationally, giving hope to small businesses, social enterprises, ordinary people up and down the country who want and deserve better from their banks. By this time next year, when we meet in Birmingham to celebrate the 250th anniversary of the founding of the world's first building society, we will have a new government. Whatever the outcome of the election, a new government will bring new opportunity. Support for cooperatives and mutuals extends right across the political spectrum. So now is the time, now is the opportunity. Starting with Richard Ketley, the landlord of a pub in Snow Hill, Birmingham, starting with ordinary working people coming together in cooperation to save money, to buy land, to build homes for themselves and their families. We have 250 years of mutual history as inspiration for our collective futures. 250 years building sustainable businesses for the benefit of our communities and our society. 250 years of purposeful business. In partnership with the whole of the cooperative and mutual sector, we've proposed building a new covenant between our sector, government and society for the benefit of society. To help us deliver on our side of the bargain, we've called for an incoming government, firstly, to design an environment which supports the growth of cooperatives and mutuals, which includes cooperatives and mutuals at the heart of government strategy and decision-making. Secondly, to deliver an overarching legislative and regulatory framework to provide that level playing field, comprehensively updating legislation, extending the CMA's remit to include responsibility for developing and maintaining corporate diversity, and reviewing the credit union common bond framework. And thirdly, to create and preserve capital to support new and growing cooperatives and mutuals, including access to pools of genuinely mutual start-up and growth capital via British Business Bank and through pension scheme reform. The Labour Party have committed to doubling the size of the mutual and cooperative economy. That should be our ambition, whatever the outcome of the election. That is our side of the bargain. For building societies, we think that doubling memberships from 26 million to 52 million over a 10-year period would be a suitably challenging target. Achieving that outcome in substantial part by addressing the huge societal problem we have in poor household financial resilience, by encouraging regular savings directly and through the workplace, underpinning our role in improving and building society. Something for us all to be proud about. The choice, ultimately, is yours, to seize this opportunity or to let it pass. One of our CEOs said to me recently that it really does feel like the march of the mutuals. And let's make no mistake, our march now needs to be a quick march, a steady march towards that positive future of a properly diverse UK financial services sector with our mutual businesses at its very heart. Thank you all very much.
A huge note of thanks to Robin for addressing us this afternoon.